Hi, everybody. Hi. My mom and I, well, my mom doesn't really want to talk, but she's going to be up here. I just made a little presentation that hopefully you'll be able to see on here, and we're just going to talk about a little bit of our memories. Is one of the technology people can come assist me?
Y'all go talk for a minute.
I knew my presentation. Do you know how to get to it? How do I skip it? I found it. Where? No, it's not. Here it is. I did it. How do I make it go? Oh, I know how to do it. Wait, I'm sorry. Okay. Oh. No. Do you just see the main?
No, nothing yet. All right, give us a moment.
I didn't print. Okay. Go away for a sec. No, I got it. This time I really have it. Okay. So we're just going to share some, so it's going to be a combination of pictures, there's going to be some videos, there's one with a little bit of inappropriate language that I'll brace you for, and there's also one with some terrible, terrible singing on our part that I'll also brace you for, so get ready. Get ready. Oh, there's that again. Oh, okay. So now you just see the main thing? Okay. So, you guys have already heard a lot about the garden club, but Papa was a lover of all things nature. He could name every plant and bird in sight. He often nursed back to life the flowers that my mom and I didn't do so well with at home. Luckily, his son, my uncle over here, acquired the green thumb a little better than we did, and he's continued to help me in the beautiful gardens. Papa was actively involved in maintaining this amazing park here, and he was known throughout the state of Florida for giving talks on how to grow orchids. His work with the Florida Federation of Garden Club, including his reign as the first male president, kept him extremely busy over the past 8 years or so, and it's truly defined his dedication to community beautification efforts. So if you can see in the middle, ever since I was little, gardening has always been a big part of what he wanted to pass on to me. You can see him in the bottom corner in his greenhouse at home. Up in the top corner, we're making a prayer garden at church for my Girl Scout project. So definitely a big part of what I knew about him growing up. And here, let's see, is at when he became president of the Florida Federation of Garden Club. He definitely was not confined by gender norms. He was one of the only men, as you can see, and a bunch of ladies, and Nana loved that, and she supported him through that, and then even when she was gone, he was surrounded by amazing people because of the garden club, so we're so grateful for that. Here's a picture. So he kept a scrapbook, which we're so thankful for, with all the some of the different times he was in the newspaper for gardening and other things here in the community. So these are just a couple clips. You can see when he was the first male president of the Temple Terrace Garden Club, and some of his time giving presentations about gardening and how to keep getting to the root of the problem. Some pictures of him teaching. He was really big on teaching, so that's shown there. So Papa was a biologist by training. He earned his bachelor's and master's from FSU, where he met where he met Nana before moving to Tampa and taking a position at USF, which was actually before the university had even opened. and he worked there throughout his career, retiring after 38 years. So, what?
Well, I just have something. That one picture, is it on the left on their screen too?
Of him?
Of him sitting at the desk is a 3D picture from when he was working like at the university. So it was a high-tech thing back then, apparently. So it's a little blurry because of that, but it actually was a 3D picture.
In the middle, you can see some textbooks that he actually authored. That was something I found out when I was a little older, when I was taking biology, and I was calling on him for help. And he's like, oh, look, here, learn from my biology textbook that I wrote. And I was like, oh, okay. And then in the bottom, you can see a picture of us at his retirement party right after I was born. So basically throughout my whole life, I had a retired grandpa that was great to be around. So, and then these are just some pictures from him, his involvement with teaching. Up in the top is him coming to my elementary school to teach us about Italy. And then in the bottom, he's teaching about gardening at church. So Papa was born in Connecticut. His family was all born in Italy, but he was born in Connecticut. So he definitely took us back to the snow from an early age. I got exposed to the snow. And he loved traveling. So a lot of the time he would go on trips. He had gone on trips with Nana when they were first dating or a little later, and then he decided to take us back to a lot of the places they had been. So here's them in Hawaii, a picture of them with the group in Egypt, and then decided to take us back to Hawaii. So here's some pictures from my first trip to Hawaii. Just a side note, I actually am applying to residency programs right now. I'm in medical school, and I applied to the University of Hawaii because of this trip. So always been wanting to get back there. And then I showed the picture with him in Egypt. So here's another trip. We got to go to the pyramids, ride camels. They loved riding camels, so we got to do that. Super fun. But just since I was really young, traveling has been something that he shared with me, and I'm super grateful for that. So his family's from Italy, so we've definitely taken a lot of trips to Italy. He was a world traveler, even deciding to take travel agent classes at one point. He valued adventure over possessions and saved up to be able to afford to take us on some super magnificent trips. So here's my first trip to Italy and Spain. And then another trip to Italy later on for my graduation. This was actually from my very first trip I took out of the country with them. So I went out of the country over to Europe before my mom had ever been. So it was definitely the spoiled only grandchild. So it was our first trip. How old was I there? Probably about 10.
I think, yeah, 11
Okay,
and
we're
10
gonna
or
go
11.
with that. Oh, Chris knows because
Yeah.
she skipped swimming.
Oh, yeah. That's my swim coach, and he would probably know because I skipped swim practice to go on all these. So, and then here, we did some trips here in the U.S. because Uncle Phil didn't like to go out that much, so we did a lot of trips here. So here's some cool trips we've gone on. And then cruises, lots and lots of cruises. I tried to find some from our different cruise trips I was born in 97, so you can see the picture in 1999. We started really young going on cruises. He shared the world with me through cruises. And we've gone to Tahiti. That was one of our most recent trips that he absolutely loved. It was so incredible. The culture was amazing. He loved the water. It's really just an awesome trip. And Banff, Canada is a trip that Nana and Papa had gone on. And if you see the castle in the picture, they had loved that but couldn't afford to stay. And they had said, one day we'll go back. And so a couple years ago, Papa took us back and we got to stay in that beautiful hotel. So that was really cool. And our most recent trip, we went to Mexico just a couple months ago. We had lots of family and friends there. We rented a house and we're all together. And it was a great last trip that we got to spend together. So super special. So Papa documented his travels through photography, and he carried, back in the day, hundreds of rolls of film with him on all of his trips. And some of those pictures have even been documented in travel tour magazines, which is really cool. So I know you can't read this, but we found, he shared with us recently an autobiography he had to write in, I guess, a high school course. And so just a little bit from this, he says, I saved up for 2 years to buy my first camera, which is really cool to find out these little details that you wouldn't really know any other way. And it made me really appreciate, like, if I want something, I ask for it for Christmas. And just to realize, like, he saved up and all this, it just puts into perspective, like, how much he did and kind of the struggles he had in life that now I'm so grateful to not have to face. But really cool perspective reading this autobiography that he wrote. So a lot of people know Papa for his time in the kitchen. He was definitely a master chef, especially when it came to making his family inherited recipes. He regularly prepared meals for gatherings of over 100 people at church. He made sure I learned how to make pizza dough from scratch without a recipe to make the perfect homemade pizza, homemade pasta, and gnocchi. So here's some pictures of all of that. I think this might be, I hope I haven't missed any videos. And we did share a love for eating crab and lobster. Singing, dancing, and playing the piano were other talents of his. He especially enjoyed compositions from The Sound of Music, and he never shied away from the dance floor, and even inspired everyone else to get up and dance when he went out to do the twist. Although one of his goals was to dance at my wedding, even though we won't be able to do that, we shared a special dance at the end of his presidency ceremony, and towards the end of this video, you'll see a little bit about that. This first one is my wedding. So all the way up to the end, he was dancing. He also loved to play piano. I always made him go to the piano at Christmas, at different days. Sometimes I could wake up and hear them there playing, and then just go sit and listen. So have some, this is the one where I warn you there's some singing towards the end. That's, you might need to plug your ears. But here we go. It's just some different videos cropped together of him playing. I can't even play anymore. Gosh, I'm terrible. And then proceeds to play perfectly. Oh gosh.
You sang this with me when I was young, and then he sang it to her. So that's a really important song, Josh.
Oh gosh, my hands just don't cooperate. So he actually told in the autobiography he wrote that he started taking piano lessons at age 7. So he's part of his life growing up and carried it through all the way. So we also spent lots of holidays together, lots of Christmases, always at his house. He would make an amazing Christmas brunch for us. So here's some more years of Christmas together. And he was there for every important step in my life, from the time I was born all the way through every graduation, every award ceremony, my ROTC presentation, my white coat ceremony, always there to support me. And next is some funny videos. This is the one, brace yourself for the inappropriate.
Hey, look at all these wireless networks. Bad pictures only, baddest pictures only.
He was just reading the wireless networks around my college dorm area that college students had named. So, funny things. And we'll play it again. No, play it again. Oh.
This is terrible. That's my Titanium arm wrestling.
That's my 85-year-old grandpa beating my mom arm wrestling. So he actually, I didn't realize how strong he was, especially later in life. So I was always like, oh, let me grab that for you. And then one day we get back from a trip. He has this huge suitcase, and I see him hike it up all the way onto the table. I tried doing that, and I couldn't lift the thing. And I'm like, geez, I didn't know he was that strong. So don't let elderly people fool you. They still got it. So during quarantine, my boyfriend McKinley, Papa, and I stayed together, and we invested in a blow-up hot tub that you can see on the one side. That has been something we really enjoyed having, but hot tubs been a place that we love to spend together. He, a lot of times, can be seen passed out in the hot tub asleep. And we spent a lot of time at the beach at this resort in Treasure Island. So this is just us asleep, relaxing in the hot tub at Treasure Island. Oh, and a picture from above, looking at him asleep down there by himself. Always lots of beach trips. As you can see here, when I was really little, always going to the beach with his best friends, Becky and Jack Nocky. More trips to the beach. Love to play games, play card games. When Nana and Papa were dating, they would play bridge and other card games, and so they passed that on. I haven't learned to play any of those, but I can do Uno. Here's just some funny pictures of him sleeping. He definitely knew how to sleep and passed that on well to me. I'm a great napper. And yeah, this is just showing how close we were. He's like a best friend, grandpa, papa to me. Super special relationship that we had that I know a lot of you have gotten to see. We were so close, and I'm so grateful I had this time recently getting to be with him and be with him at the end. So thank you all for letting me share just a little bit about my papa.